This is for grade 10s, physical science. I hope you find the lesson engaging and you learn from it. Enjoy. From the knowledge area Waves, Sound and Light. This is lesson 11 in the blended learning series, and the topic is waves and pulses, sound and problem solving. So, what you should be able to do from CAPS. You must make sure you can explain how sound waves are caused. You must know the relationship between frequency and the period of a wave. You must use the wave equation to solve problems related to sound. You must be able to solve problems related to echoes and echolocation, which are based on the fact that sound waves are reflected. You must be able to relate the pitch of a sound to the frequency of the sound wave. And finally, make sure you can relate the loudness of a sound to the amplitude of a sound wave. So, the lesson schedule for this lesson. First, the diagnostic. Calling this the wave equation quiz. There are 19 questions. You will have about 10 minutes to complete the diagnostic questions. Pre-lesson activity 1 is textbook engagement, where you will be reading the textbook and answering some questions and making a summary for yourself. The second pre-lesson activity is a video tutorial. I've given you 15 minutes, although the video is only about 5 minutes long from NASA. There are some questions that I would like you to answer as you listen to the video. With pre-lesson activity 3, it's playtime with the PhET simulation, specifically on the introduction to waves, focusing on sound waves. So you'll have time to play with the simulation, and I've given you the link to get there. Then, under normal circumstances, we would then be doing the contact session. But because of COVID and maybe the other students who need some help, in the online session you will watch me explain with some important concepts that you need to know. After the online session, you will then have to do the first post-lesson activity, which again is a video tutorial. This video tutorial is also a summary of what has been done with longitudinal and transverse waves. And finally, the last post-lesson activity is textbook practice, where you will have to go to the textbook and complete some of the activities in the textbook. I will be doing a separate tutorial video for the tutorial questions that will be posted at the end of this lesson. So just a couple of things you need to be aware of. A pause button will appear when you need to pause the video and do the activities. We will be using the C of Ruler grade 10 textbook, and I'll be using the online version. And then, of course, the PhET simulations, interactive simulations, so you can see what happens to the pitch and loudness of sound waves by changing the frequency and the amplitude. And finally, the the video tutorials are all on YouTube from various other sites that have really explained the concepts quite well. So, this lesson should take you about 110 minutes from start to finish. So make sure that you have 110 minutes available where you can pause the video, you can do the various activities, and it might be good if you get a friend or two to come along and do this lesson with you. Okay, so what will you need for this lesson? Well, make sure you have a notebook to write in. You also need a pen to take notes. And of course, because we are problem solving, you will need a calculator. Use highlighters, color pencils, anything you like to highlight or emphasize important things as you take notes. And then, of course, a quiet place to work in with access to the internet. So I hope you enjoy this lesson, and let's get started. Okay, grade 10. So let's start with the diagnostic questions. Now, the diagnostic questions are there to see what you already know. So you should have done the wave equation already with longitudinal and sound waves, And this wave equation quiz is testing how well you know that equation. When you see that calculator icon, know that you must have your calculator ready. And this is basically the fastest fingers first. So don't write the formulas, just find the answers. And that will be the last you hear from me until the end of the quiz. Okay, so let's look at the answers to the diagnostic questions. Firstly, that ambient music that you listened to while you were answering the questions was supplied by SoundCloud. So let's look at the answers. Okay, first answer was frequency. The SI unit for speed is meters per second. Frequency is measured in hertz. The wavelength is measured in meters. The period is the time for one complete oscillation. Number 6, the speed is 1,500 meters per second. Number 7, the speed is 80 meters per second. Number 8, the speed is 12 meters per second. For number 9, you had to first find the frequency from the period. So the frequency is 1 over the period. So the frequency was 40 hertz, therefore the speed was 840 meters per second. Okay, for number 10, you had to do the same thing. First find the frequency. The period was 0.1 second, so that is 10 hertz. So the speed was 20 meters per second. For 11, you had to rearrange the wave equation to find the frequency of 4 hertz. For number 12, the frequency was 4 hertz. For number 13, you had to once again rearrange the equation to find the wavelength. So the wavelength is 6 meters. Number 14, the wavelength was 25 meters. For number 15, using the wave equation again, the speed was 144 meters per second. Number 16, the speed was 198 meters per second. For 17, the wavelength was 17 meters, and number 18, the frequency was 3 meters. For number 19, if the speed increases, the wavelength will increase. Please note that the frequency of a sound wave does not change when it passes from one medium to the next. Okay, so how many did you get correct out of the 19? Just a reminder, grade 10s, that those diagnostic questions are not how you should answer an exam question. In exam questions, remember, you have to do a number of things. Firstly, always write down the formula. Number 2, substitute in all the values and show you're working out. Number 3, write down the answer and include the correct units. This was just basically to test if you knew how to use the wave equation and if you could manipulate the wave equation. Now, the first pre-lesson activity in this blended learning lesson on sound and problem solving is to engage with the textbook. So, you need access to the internet. I will show you the link. Please click on that link and go to the textbook. Remember, when you read the textbook, the idea is to set yourself some questions and answer those questions as you go along. To help guide you, I will include those questions right here. So pause the video after the questions and go to the textbook. Okay, grade 10s, let's have a look what you have to do for pre-lesson activity 1. You will be engaging with the textbook, so you need to, if you have the textbook, open to chapter 10, the Siavula textbook, Everything Science. So, you're going to be using the SQ3R method. First, you will survey the chapter. So look at what the headings are. Look at what the subheadings are. Go to the end of chapter summary and read through those points. That is what I mean by survey. Now for Q, the questions, you need to look at each of the headings and subheadings and make questions for yourself. So for example, what is sound? What is the speed of sound? What is ultrasound? So go through the subheadings and turn each of those into a question. You are then going to read actively. Now, if you've downloaded the book as a PDF, you can highlight the PDF, you can make notes, but you have to read actively. So if there's a word you don't know, please look it up. If there's something you don't understand, please ask somebody. Okay, the second R is the recite. Here you're going to make a summary, whether it's a mind map or a table, but you're going to summarize what you have just read. So that is what I mean by recite. And lastly, the last R is revise. So put your summary note away for a day. come back, see how much you can remember. That summary note you can also use for studying for exams later on. So keep it in a safe place. Okay, grade 10s, let me show you how easy it is to use the online version. Go to Google, type in Siavula grade 10, and it will give you the textbook. Click on the textbook, and then it will give you all the different chapters. So go down to chapter 10, click on that chapter where it says chapter 10 sound. And then it will take you to the chapter. All the subsections can then be clicked on. So starting with the introduction, I'm going to scroll down so you can see. You could ask the question, what are sound waves? How do sound waves move? You might not know what a tuning fork is, so I suggest you go look that up. And you continue reading through to the end of that section. You don't have to worry about doing the activities. Then click on Next, Speed of Sound. It will take you to the next subsection. And you can ask, well, what is the speed of sound? Then you move on to the other sections. If you need to go back, you can press the previous button. But you move through the textbook, you read, you make notes, and that is how easy it is to use the textbook version.
Pause the video now.
Okay, for the second pre-lesson activity, you need to go to YouTube and watch the video tutorial. It's from NASA. I've also included a number of questions I would like you to answer as you listen to the video carefully. So grade 10s, let's look what is expected in this second pre-lesson activity. As I said, it is a video tutorial, and you can open a tab for YouTube now on your computer, and there is the link, but I will also give you the name of the video and show you how you can search for the video. Okay, now as you watch the video, I would like you to think and answer the following questions. What type of wave is a sound wave classified as? Secondly, what is the wavelength of a sound wave? Thirdly, what is the frequency of a sound wave? Then, what is the amplitude of a sound wave, and when is the amplitude high? What type of amplitude value do a loud sound and a quiet sound have? And yeah, that's basically the questions I'd like you to look at as you watch the video. Okay, now the URL is on the study guide, so you could click on that if you have it. If not, type in the name of the video, what are the parts of a sound wave in Google, do a search, click on videos, and there the video comes up. So click on that and it will take you directly to the YouTube video.
Pause the video now.
Okay, the last pre-lesson activity is to play with the PhET simulation. I've included the link and I've included instructions in the video segment that comes up next. Okay, grade 10s. Pre-lesson activity 3, the PhET interactive simulations. You will be doing the waves intro simulation, and there is the link for you to go to now. So yeah, have some fun playing with waves. Now it's very easy to work with the PhET simulations. Just click on the link and it will open it straight away. Click on the sound one because that's what we need to focus on, and it will take you to the sound intro. So the things I would like you to do is to play around with the amplitude and with the frequency, which are there at the top. You can also show the waves or the particles, and when you are ready, you press that green button. And it will show you, if you click waves, just the waves. If you show particles, just the particles. If you click both, it will show you both. So have some fun. Okay, grade 10. So here you can actually hear the sound. You can hear the frequency. Is it low? Is it high? When you play with the amplitude, is it soft? Is it loud?